And this is really interesting. I mean, there's a couple of changes kind of confirmed for the very short term. World Rugby are calling this the largest reimagination of rugby's entertainment value. That's how they've kind of tagged all this stuff that's going on. And the three changes for competitions beginning after the 1st of July. So that's including Ireland's tests against South Africa, etc., and all that. So let's work through them. There's three of them here, James. One is the DuPont law is the loophole is closed. So offside players, but they've kind of gone an extra step further. Offside players must make an attempt to retreat, creating space for the opposition team to play. Are you in favor of this one?
Yeah, I like it. I do not like the element of grey area where I feel like there's going to be some silly penalties. I feel for the first little while of like, it's because it's going to be the referee's interpretation of them retreating versus, at least they said you to retreat 5 meters or 10 meters unless you're put onside while retreating. Or I just feel like there could have been a little bit more clarity in what those middle players have to do to put themselves back on side or be back in the game, because it is kind of left to referee interpretation. And what we all know is it'll be harshly refereed for the first little while. Everyone will be more kind of diligent, and then it'll slowly get a little bit, less front of mind from the referee's point of view. And of course, players then will start pushing the boundaries, and maybe it's you're kind of back to where we were before the loophole became a part of people's game plan. But anyway, I think it's a good thing in terms of counter-attacking. We might see some different kick options, whether they'll have a crack and maybe choose to box kick, or again, all depending on how the refs are refereeing what those middle guys have to do. So yeah, I'm in favor of it. I do think it's a good rule. I just think they could have added a little bit more clarity on what those middle guys have to do to be back on side. I think even like a retreat, from where they are, maybe 5 or 10 meters. I don't know. I feel like that they could have had something.
So now imagining guys like moving a couple of inches back downfield and saying, I technically am retreating here, but they're kind of standing still.
Yeah. So it's too great. Yeah, it's for me, it's too great, because what is the definition? That is exactly it. You just said, as long as they are moving away from the ball, they're moving away from the ball. So, they're not incentivized to move quickly away from the ball.
So we already need a clarification, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, but listen, I think we're in agreement that the loophole it got silly in a couple of games, Scotland, France in particular. It wasn't a great thing, and it was important to nip that in the bud. The second one has caused a fair bit of debate now. This is around free kicks. So it will no longer be possible to choose a scrum from a free kick. Free kicks must either be tapped or kicked to encourage more ball inflow. And again, this is a kind of tweak on what they'd initially teed up, that you couldn't use a free kick from a scrum and scrum again, but now you actually can't choose a scrum from a free kick, which is a pretty big change, James. And I don't know, I know you're a scrum enthusiast. I'm curious what you make of this one.
So I don't mind it. The only thing I don't like is if it creates an opportunity for a team under pressure a little bit to con the ref into giving a free kick at scrum time. So what could you do? You could, close the gap a little bit, or create instability just enough that you're gonna get free kicked and not a penalty. I feel like the refs would just have to be so sharp on the professional foul side of things and making sure that they're given a penalty and not a free kick for stuff that they feel is that doesn't seem like too much of a thing, of a sanction. So I'm just going to give a free kick. Too easy of an out for me. For teams are too clever, and will take advantage of that, especially if they are under a bit of pressure at scrum time, or don't want to, allow like a big La Rochelle or scrummaging team the opportunity to win a penalty in a big moment or something like that. So that is the only area of concern. I don't mind it. I still think the scrum plays a really big part in the game, but I don't mind the rule as long as the refs aren't getting conned to early shoves where teams are fading, or little things where you're just. I think they should be sharp on giving more penalties for those sorts of professional fouls. I also think they missed a trick with free kicks off of lineouts. I think that needs to change on that. Like, one of the most pet peeves for me is teams closing the gap. Like, it's the most under talked about professional foul in the game. It causes stoppages every single game where the ref will, two teams will come in, the ref will blow the whistle, separate the teams, and then go again. And if they do it again, then he'll give a free kick. And sure, like, if you've had a penalty, you've kicked the touch, you've got your momentum stopped once, and now you're stuck with a free kick. What are you gonna do? Like, do a Gary, kick the ball up in the air, give it away, or you used to take a scrum, which again, it might not be to your advantage. Well, I feel like if they added a 15-meter, the ball moves 15-meter closer, the line moves 15-meter closer to the defensive team's try line if a team steps across the mark. Now, I think that would incentivize teams to keep the gap and would solve a lot of professional fouls, because all of a sudden that is a big loss for you just for closing the gap. And refs can be like, it'll solve a lot of their problems, because they don't really know how to deal with this keeping the gap situation, because they don't want to slow down the game. They don't really want to give a penalty for it. Well, I think like a free kick, just move it up 15 meters. That is going to solve a lot of problems, because that is a big kick in the teeth to a defensive team who are just trying to slow momentum down or push the boundaries, or every team does it. Like, every single team does it. And it is the easiest professional foul to do and not get penalized for, and gamesmanship and all the rest of it. But it's a pet peeve of mine as a hooker, where you're coming up to the mark, and you're set on the mark. The touch judge is on your back, telling you to stay there, and the opposition team's in front of you because they've already set up on you, and then you take a step to the left, the touch judge pushing you, and then the referee kind of wants to let it go. And then if the opposition team step across again, then he'll blow the whistle. He'll tell you to get back to the mark. He'll tell everyone to move across. Like, it's just such a silly thing that needs to be removed from the game, and could very easily be removed by free kick. But you have the option of that free kick of moving 15 meters up, and I don't think 10's enough. That's why I'm saying 15. I think 10 is just just not bad enough that you'd be like, it might be worth it sometimes. So I think 15 meters is like, whoa, this is like, all of a sudden you're moving from the 10 into inside our 22. I don't know. I think there's one for the law book that could be added in.
I like it. And 50 meters, yeah, that's without being drastic, it's potentially the losing of a tight game, and no one's going to risk that overstepping the gap. You've spoken like a true hooker there, but I think it's a great suggestion, because it's a really, really annoying part of the game that, as you say, it's constant. It's so annoying. It's so constant. As soon as this line is set, you can just see them edging in. You're just like, please stop it. And the ref is just thinking, throw it so I don't have to deal with this. I think that's a good call. The last one that they've confirmed, these three are for all levels of game, confirmed from 1st of July onwards, is the croc roll being banned. I know we discussed it recently. Basically, that action of rolling, twisting, pulling a player on their feet in the tackle area around the breakdown, that croc roll is outlawed, sanctioned by a penalty. I guess we're just hoping, James, this clears some of those horrible injuries we've seen. It'll mean an adjustment, of course, for attacking breakdown players, but some horrible injuries we've seen in croc rolls.
Yeah, so good riddance to it. I don't think the croc roll is the only thing that's caused the ACL injuries. It's a lot of poor side entry, like 45 degree, 90 degree side entry, clear out. So there is still room there for improvement, but what it does mean is the poach is back. Not that it ever left, but it is back more than ever. If you're a good poacher in a team, this is music to your ears, because your value just went up overnight, because teams now are gonna adjust and go harder after the ball, because why wouldn't you? It's going to be measurably harder to deal with poach threats. So I can see there being a lot more pressure at the ball from defensive teams. on the flip side of that, how do you deal with that? I think keeping the ball alive, not letting rucks happen for attacking teams, and seeing those pops out of tackles and keeping the ball alive. So I think it's going to create some excitement in terms of big turnovers, more big turnovers, and also more passes out of the tackle, because you don't want to set up for the likes of Tyburn, Caeldars, Van der Fleer, just from an Irish point of view, giving them more opportunities and more I don't want to say leeway, because it's less leeway to the people trying to get rid of them. So it's a great day for all the poachers out there who've been practicing pilfering over tractor tires for years and years and years. Their rewards will be getting paid off in dividends very soon.